9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I always like to give myself a drum roll. And the drum roll, please. Good morning, everybody. What is today? Today is Tuesday. I don't know, it's the 20 something. I'm terrible. I have no idea the date. But I do know that next Tuesday is actually Halloween. So that's always fun. So good morning and thank you guys for tuning in. You are listening to Karen Stacy, Real Talk Karen Stacy, and I am waiting for my co-host Danielle to jump on here with me because today is WTF. Let's talk with Karen and Danielle. So I am waiting for yes, she's always late. Hi, Big Daddy. Yeah, well, it happens. We all have lives and stuff, and I just my mom was very business oriented, and you had to be on time, ready to go, prepared, yada yada. So I this is just who I am. But see, Big Daddy, she's here.
I'm
Good morning.
here. Good morning.
Yes, today is very Monday-ish for a Tuesday,
Yes, correct.
right?
Yes,
I don't know.
yes, it is.
I've been feeling like it's Monday for like a month.
Hello. I'm with you right there. Oh, but I was so excited because my kids don't have school today, so at least I didn't have to wake up, Just,
Oh, how
just the
come? Wait, what's today? Why don't they have
it's a
school?
it's a teacher planning day. I don't know. They just sprinkle the school calendar with these days where these kids don't have to go to school. So yesterday was a half day, so they made me get up for nothing because I had to pick them up at 12. Why bother? And then today was a day off, which was great because I actually got to sleep until 8 a.m., which is like a shocker for me because usually I'm up at 5:30 trying to wake the masses.
Right.
And so today was a slow moving day. Today was a very
All
slow
right.
moving day. But
Well, good and good for you. I mean, I still don't know how the hell you drink your coffee 6 hours after you wake up, but you
well,
you never go ahead.
Well, I have no choice. So, I got to get up and then I got to wake the kids. And then after I get the kids up, I have to go downstairs and start making breakfast. And then after breakfast, I make their lunches. And then after lunches, I get them off to school. And by the time they're all out the door, then I have to walk the dog. And then by the time I would then walk the dog, it's somewhere around 8. And then I make my coffee and I sit
Danielle, you're missing the point to the coffee. The whole point to the coffee is drinking it before you do all of that so that you're able to do all of that. You're missing the whole point to it.
That
I
means I'd
tell you
have to
that
get up
all
at
the time.
5, Karen. I have to get up at 5 then to drink the coffee.
No,
I'm not doing it.
you set the coffee pot so that
Uh,
it's ready when you walk in the kitchen. You grab your cup of coffee and then start screaming at everybody. This
oh.
is the way to do it. You're doing it all wrong. And I've told you this for years. You know how many times like she said to me, "Oh, I'm just having my coffee now." I'm like, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yes, good morning. I'm not even sure what the name is there. I see Big Daddy, of course. And then suck your I don't even know what that name is of this person. Suck your mother. All right. That's
Okay. They should beep, beep, beep. You should be, you should
That's
be beeping that
interesting.
out.
Please, if this thing beeped, I would be beeping the whole time, right? Because
Mm.
of my potty mouth. But so, speaking of which, so today's topic, first of all, if you're here, hit the like button, say good morning, let us know that you're here. Share this with your friends. You can actually share this on like Facebook or wherever and get people on, which actually since I'm still in the morning, I didn't do that yet. But just hit that like button. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining. Let us know that you're here. The whole point is that we can interact on here live, because this is us. We're live. You're not listening to the replay. If you are listening to the replay, you can still comment. We just won't respond at the moment. And again, you tune into Real Talk with KarenStacy.podbean.com. You hit that follow button. When we go live, it will tell you, like, hey, we're live, and then you can tune in. So thank you for tuning in to WTF, Let's Talk with Karen and Danielle. So, like, sometimes Danielle and I, well, not sometimes, but whenever we talk, we come up inadvertently with 13 topics, for a show. And today's topic, even though, see, it's hard because we pick the topic first and then, like, I kind of roll with it, and then I want to change it, but you can't because,
Right. So I'm still in suspense. I don't even know what today's topic is about. So let's go.
yes, you are. I
I
told you.
am.
Well, see, look, nobody reads the
Nobody
fucking
knows.
post. No one reads the post. It says, do you spread yourself too thin? That
Oh,
was the topic, and we did discuss this the other
we
day,
did.
Miss.
We did.
And you said whatever you think.
Whatever you
So
think. That's right.
so there's where we are. So it goes with the whole thing. See, so now this led right in from the fact that you don't drink your coffee first thing. So you're already spreading yourself too thin because you're not properly caffeinated. Does anybody else agree with me that's listening? But yeah, so that's gonna be like we'll start there because there's so many aspects of that, right? So I already know the answer to this question, but Danielle, do you spread yourself too thin? Okay, Big Daddy agrees, Suck Your Mother agrees. um
Timmy, my friend Timmy's in here. Finsta, I know you agree. He's lived his
yes,
life with me so many times. He knows
he's
I'm
here, but
definitely
he's not. He doesn't.
he's
He's being
quiet.
quiet. He's lurking in the background. I think Suck Your Mother scared him. Um.
Kind of scared me too.
Oh boy.
Whoop.
There
But
we go. Now we got a haha. So, so the question is, do you spread yourself too thin?
yes. Oh my God. You got to be careful how you answer that because that question could be go so many different ways. Anyway, yes. When it comes
Wait a minute. How could that be taken
we're not going into
differently?
really? Okay, ask the men in the room. So,
Spreading yourself too thin?
anyway,
All right.
so
Yeah,
do
see, I guess my coffee's
I
not
see?
working today.
See look what Big Daddy wrote.
I got to go to a sex talk. Um,
We're gonna
I got to
change
go
it.
to a sex talk on this one, and we'll pick this up again on a different show.
Sound Yes.
Okay, so
So, do you
back at the ranch.
basically, do I overextend myself? Yes, I overextend myself daily. Unfortunately, three kids, a husband, fourth child, a sister who lives with me, nieces, nephews, so on and so forth, extended children. Um, yes, my constant day in life is a multitude of things. My husband works. He provides a very good life, but he is a worker. He is not um
A homer.
he's not a homer, right? Okay, correct.
He's a Homer Simpson.
He's, a, he's got two left hands and 10 thumbs. So, he doesn't so everything that happens in the home, around the home, is my responsibility. So getting the kids off to school, making sure we have food in the house, getting the laundry done, paying the bills, anything that needs to be fixed or repaired. You know, I'm going to be hanging a blind in my daughter's bedroom today. Whether it's rearranging rooms, painting rooms, hanging shelves, working with um, contractors to do work in the house, doctor's appointments, you know, it's a constant flurry of things at all times. He goes to work, he comes home, he takes a nap. He gets up in enough time to eat dinner. God bless him, right? He gets home. He gets up in enough time to eat dinner, watch a little TV. He works out, and Jesus, he's exhausted. So, and I look at him, and once upon a time, I had a job. My friend, my little Finster friend over there, I tell you, I had a job. I made six figures. I made a lot of money. I did whatever I wanted. I paid for whatever I needed. It wasn't a big deal.
Hell of a lot
I'm very,
easier.
yeah, I was very self-sufficient. I am still self-sufficient, but when you add the children and all the other things into maintaining a household, and I get it, right? I'm the mother. I maintain the household. We carry the brunt. Um, it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming, and then you get to a point where you just kind of like, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it either. But you sit around, and as I look right now around, and I go, oh my God, because if I'm not doing it and he's not doing it, within a week the place looks like a tornado went through it, and you just cause yourself more, you just cause yourself more work. So yes, I am spread very thin, and I am tired and sometimes resentful. And but life goes on, and these kids are, they're teenagers now, and a little easier. But now come different activities and friends, and drive me here and drive me there, and I want to do this, and costs and expenses, and managing the budget, and you're just doing day-to-day stuff where you wish somebody else picked up a little bit of the slack. So yeah, I'm thin. I'm thin.
Right. And so to go with that, part of overextending, and we were talking about this as well. So like a lot of times people like get twisted, right? Because they don't realize how much one has on their plate, right? And so we've already discussed, if anybody has tuned in to our previous shows, Danielle and I are two girls from the Bronx, and we were whenever like you would go out with your friends, like we were the bitch, right? So those of you, I know we got some men listening right now. We were the ones that like cock blocked everything you tried to do, right? Because we already knew what you were up to, and yada yada. So but we have good hearts, and we take care of our friends and anybody that's around us. So what happens is that when we spread ourselves too thin, we extend ourselves to too many things, right? So in other words, like we try to help other people, and people don't get that we already have a full plate. So that's where, and then sometimes, right, you kind of like lose friends, or people get in their feelings that you aren't thinking about them, or you didn't follow through, right? And we're not really the type that don't follow through. There are a lot of people that promise you the freaking world, right? But they don't ever follow through. I can tell you, firsthand, somebody's breaking in Danielle's house, that that we follow through. We would never make an empty promise, but sometimes we make promises and life gets in the way, and we forget, or we lose track of it and don't get to it in time, right? Would that be the right thing to say, Danielle?
Yes. You, I'm laughing. I'm going back to Finster's comment. She was the boss. Now, my friend Finster, that's on this podcast, I managed properties in New York City. You go back to like spreading yourself too thin. I had a staff of, I don't know, what was it, 75 elevator mechanics, engineers, cleaners, and everything else. I managed them just fine. But yet now, as a housewife, I have four people in the house, and I can't get any single one of them to listen to a goddamn word I say. But meanwhile, I had 75 men jumping around to do anything I told them to do. So
The good old days.
the good old days,
The
right?
good old days. The good old days when we would snap our fingers and men would jump. Now they're like, yeah, okay.
I can't, pick up your socks, move your shoes. Nobody listens. So, and you don't, what, as a career mom, and now as just a house mom, homemaker, you sit back and you try to, how did I do it all back then? How did I maintain a career, friendships, children, all of it? I mean, I must have been spread to the max but yet, for whatever reasons, when you're in certain roles, you do it. Like, women are amazing. I don't know about you guys, but we are amazing. And if you love us enough and you take care of us enough and you support us enough, there we will fucking move mountains. And for everybody, friends, kids, spouses. And when I sit back now and I'm like, and there were sometimes, how many times I tell you, Karen? I'm like, there's not a goddamn enough days, there's not enough hours in the day. Like, I can't get it all done. I have spent days from like, drop the kids off at 7, doctor's appointment at 8. Oh my God, Madison's not feeling good. Pick her up at 12. Have to run back to school to pick up the other kids at 2. Who's got haircut appointments? Who's got to go to tennis camp? Who has to go here? Who has to, oh shit, it's 5:30. I have to cook dinner. And then I'm right, and I get it all done. I get it all done. But at the end of the day, they're all, who's on their phones upstairs, who's playing video games. They're living the life of Riley. And I'm sitting here with 10,000 gray hairs in my head thinking, how did I get into this mess? Because I said yes. Because I said yes.
Well, you know what? There's a lot to that, and so what you said was how did we get from here to there? So when you are in you said yes. Um, when Big Daddy, when you are as a career person, or woman, man, let's be fair. You and especially when you have a powerful position, if you will, it's part of your demeanor at that point, right? Because if you're in charge, you're in charge. And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously I've known you through all of this. And that was you. You were a career woman and you went to work every day, and let's just give props, and your husband was retired from his job and he stayed home with the kids for many years, while you were super mom, right? And you also had, like, help from outside people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you ran your house, but you didn't run it from the inside as much as like you were running it from the outside, if you will. And I remember saying to you, and you would be exhausted, and you were like, you worked like 12-hour days or whatever. I mean, and basically you came home, you know, fed everybody, showered, the kids and everything, and everybody went to bed, and you got up and did what you. And I used to say to you, Dan, and I was home with my kid who was, the psycho lunatic, energizer bunny that got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and, like, was the whirlwind. And I said to you, it's a hell of a lot easier going to work. And you were like, I don't even know how you're going to say that. Like, I go to work, I do this, I do that. And when you gave up all of that and you moved to Florida and you decided, you guys made the decision, for you to be the stay-at-home mom. I remember you saying to me, how the hell did you do this? Like,
Well,
this is ridiculous.
this discussion went like this. Okay, I would work and then I would come home and he would, I don't know, he was watching like Love and Hip Hop or some nonsense on TV. And I was like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And he'd like, look at me. I'm like, listen, this is only going to work if you do everything that I do. Because if you can't do that everything that I do, then you have to go to work. Because my son at the time had some hearing issues and some learning difficulties, and somebody needed to be home to be with him, to take him to the tutor, to do all the things. And he didn't want to. He didn't want to. He said, I'd rather work. So, okay, so then I made the decision to give up my career to take care of my kids. Because as my father would tell me, it's not about me anymore. It's about them. And I understood it and I accepted that responsibility. That's fine. But, you know, I would just laugh at him. I'm like, I gave him a list of all the things I do. I don't want to do all that. What do you mean you want to do all that? If I have to put your 8 hours of work opposed to my, like, he comes home tired, and listen, he makes money, he takes care of us, he provides us a home. I give him all of that. I do, I give it to him. But Most people in the world, they wake up, they're up for 16 hours, right? You get up in the morning, 8 o'clock. I'm not going to sleep till 10 o'clock tonight. Okay, so that's 12, that's 14 hours without a nap. Without a nap. The whole world functions that way. I won't say most men, but half the men in the population, they come home from work and then they do things around the house, whether it's work around the house, fix this, fix that, whatever their wife wants. Runs out of the house to go do grocery shopping just because they don't want to listen to their wife bitch, whatever. But they pick up some of it. I don't know. I'm not mean enough, I guess. And Finster will tell you I was very mean once upon a time, but you get tired. You get tired. And I used to go to a therapist, and the therapist once told me, just do it yourself because you'll save yourself the agitation of being resentful and angry by them not doing it. So I adapted that, but I'm still resentful and angry. And I'm just now, but they get you they become monsters of your own creation, right? Because you allow them to get away with all of this. So here, you spread yourself so thin. I yell at my kids all the time, pick up your room, do this, do that. They don't, until I start screaming, then all of a sudden, oh my God, mom's a maniac. Just help me. You see me here. I'm struggling. You see me. Look around the house. Just help. But people respond more to nastiness than just being asked. And so there's a little bit of that too. But why does a woman have to take on all of this? Why is it just an unwritten rule that the women have to take on so much of the responsibility of the home because we're women, you know and that's not fair. But I also have to give props to those single men out there who are those dads. Look, my friend Spencer over here, he's been taking care of his kids for the longest time. And, he does what he's got to do as a dad. So, it's not just women spreading themselves thin, it's men too. It's partners. Like, how come we can't find somebody that can help us as a partner instead of what's the word I'm looking for? I used it yesterday with my husband.
A hindrance?
A hindrance. Okay, yeah. So I said, yesterday, I'm in the kitchen. Oh, do you want me to do this? I said, does it have to be done? He's like, well, yes. I said, okay, well, why? And then as my partner, if you know this needs to be done, why do you have to ask me? It just becomes one more thing, one more responsibility that I have to tell you to do. I shouldn't have to tell you to do anything. You come into the house, this is your home, okay? And men, I don't know how you feel about your home, but I tell my husband all the time, we're sitting in a house. It's appreciated, obviously. Thank you for inflation and all that jazz. It's appreciated. It's a very costly home, in Florida. Sitting in like an $800,000 asset. Why don't you want to fix it? Why don't you want to clean it? Why aren't you outside, like cleaning the driveway or whatever? It's your money. No, but some men aren't wired that way. We grew up
Well,
in buildings and projects and things like that, and a lot of men just aren't wired that way. Um,
that's actually that's a different show.
Different story.
That's a different show. But I think that what happens too is that, as life goes on, responsibilities, there are more responsibilities, and things change and people change and life happens. So like getting back to the topic of, do you spread yourself too thin? I think that a lot of us do that, and not with the right intentions. Meaning, like I was saying before, when someone says like, whatever it is, like for instance, you told me about, if we're talking and you tell me about that company where you can insure your the like items in your home, so that if anything breaks or whatever, they'll come and fix it, right? So a lot of times, like, it's like, how you get off the phone with somebody and it's like, I'll send you the link, or I'll forward you the email, And then what
Hmm.
happens? Life gets in the way. You don't forward the link, you don't forward the email, which is why, like with some of us, it's like, let me do it while I'm on the phone with you. And let
Right.
me send it to you now because you have the right intentions. You want to help, or, whatever. But sometimes, well, a lot of the times, life gets in the way. So you forget what you were supposed to do. And I think sometimes people will get in their feelings about that and take it personally. And,
I
although,
I
go
have
ahead.
become a big fan of Siri and Alexa to remind me to do everything. They are the best assistant that I have. And I talk to my phone all day. Siri reminds me to do this. Siri reminds me to do that. Siri, because if
Yeah.
I do not, like you said, life gets in the way and you forget, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad that yours listens because when I tell them, I tell Siri something, it comes out completely different than whatever it was that I told her to do. And if I ask ELEXA to do it, I'm supposed to enable this and this, and I'm like, you know what? By the time and then I'll send a reminder into my phone. It's not in there. So now I'm like, I need to remind myself to find the reminder. So I'm like, all right, this isn't working. So I mean, but I get it. But what I'm saying is, and what I'm trying to convey to other people is, we all spread ourselves thin, and a lot of us are carrying things with us that most don't know. And so if you've suffered a loss, if you're, when you're in pain, physically, emotionally, it weighs heavy. And people don't get that. So, sometimes just waking up in the morning, you've already exceeded what you have in you, if you will. And so now trying to help other people and trying to, be productive in your life, becomes challenging. And you know, I guess that's part of learning how to accept people for who and what they are, right? So, like, I know I have good days and I have bad days, and I don't really share with people when I'm having bad days. I don't really talk about my stuff much because, truthfully, not everybody wants to hear it, and everybody's got their own lives. So maybe it's not that they don't want to hear it, but everybody's doing their own thing. And again, spreading themselves too thin, so it's like, all right, I had like 3 minutes for us to discuss this, and now I gotta go. And so it's hard not to take things personally. But so again, going back to things that we've discussed in our previous shows, if something don't feel right, open your mouth. So if I told you I was gonna do something and I didn't, then hey, it'd be like, hey, you remember, you told me to remind you, or remember when we were talking about, blah blah blah. You never got back to me on that, or whatever. But I know some people, like my father would say, vote with your feet, and I'm like, what? And so he said, vote with your feet, meaning if
Never
things
heard that
don't go
before.
the way, yeah, that's what he said, vote with your feet. And I repeat it in my head a lot. And I guess it's just not part of my like central nervous system because I'm like, no, I open my mouth. But the thing is that that's the whole thing. Like voting with your feet speaks louder than whatever it is with your mouth. Meaning, when you vote with your feet, you keep it moving. So if I needed you to do something, or we were supposed to do something, and you didn't do it, now, you got to leave it be and vote with your feet and walk away from the situation. So, it's a hard call. And I guess, like, a lot of times what I try to do with these shows is just make people look at things from a different perspective. So, if you take it personally and you get in your feelings about people, and sometimes you have every right to, because sometimes people are really just disregarding you. But when it's those people that really, that they love you, but they just maybe don't have that in them, you can't take it so personally because sometimes we just spread ourselves too thin. So if anybody is still listening, I think everybody ran away from us. But if you're
Yeah.
still listening, hit the heart button. Let us know that you're there. Again, you guys are listening to WTF, Let's Talk with Karen and Danielle. And we are talking about, do you spread yourself too thin? So, again, I'd love to hear from other people's perspectives and points of views. Um, and I know sometimes it's challenging during the day to sneak this in and listen. So we appreciate you if you listen while we're live. And if not, there are a lot of people that listen whenever it works for their schedule, and they do write comments and I do respond to them. And obviously, you can listen to this on any of your favorite podcast platforms as well. I need to sneak it in.
Big
Yeah,
Daddy.
Big Daddy, sneak
Yeah.
it in.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So, yeah, so
But
I mean, go ahead.
no, you just sit back and you're right. So you're so many people on a day to day, right? We wake up every single morning and we have life, we have work, we have bills, we have so many things in front of us. Like when you sit up in the morning and your brain starts to activate and you're like, oh my God, I have this, I have that. You're mentally already diminished, and then you have no idea what the day is going to bring. And then, like you said, sometimes people are dealing with loss, sometimes people are just dealing with family issues, and you have to navigate through that. And it takes away from you, and you're like, okay, and you come home depleted. Like you said,
Right.
too thin, and you're completely physically or emotionally depleted is worse than physically depleted because it's just a totally different animal. But
100%.
yeah. But on a day to day, people don't know what you're going through. Look, we got our Big Daddy over here, and he's like a jokester, and he's having himself a good time, and we have no idea what he's going through, and he might be like at his wits end right now. But but we don't know because he's here and he's making us laugh. Um,
Right.
and sometimes you look for other people to kind of like we talked about this too, giving you I am. So you look for other people to kind of help you along the way, give you strength, maybe ease your burden a little bit here or there. But as a that's human nature. That's what we do, right? We overextend, we overextend, we overextend. I can do that. Oh, I can do that. I can do, especially if you're like, you're an overachiever. Um,
Yep.
you think you never want to sit back and say, I do not have the capacity to do that. I just don't.
Yep.
I think the only time in my life I really sat down and said, I do not have the capacity to function was when my father was killed. I
Yep.
just had nothing for anybody. Even my own kids suffered. I had nothing to give. And, but, I always figure I can figure it out. I'll figure it out. And you tell me all the time, crazy? Are you crazy, Danielle? Um, but if you do it right because you want to please people, you want to make them happy, whether it's a friend, a child, um, but people don't understand that what it does to you personally, and the effects that
Yeah.
it has on you as a person, to give that to them so that they're
Wow.
happy.
I must be a shitty person because I have no desire to please people anymore. I am so over that. I could care less whether I please you or not.
Well, you have Noah. You just have Noah, and you please him. I have my three, and and then my girls, who obviously
I
are
don't know
totally
if I
emotional. The difference between boys and girls emotionally is substantial.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think pleasing is a different word though. Like meaning like you are more of a people pleaser than I am. I really like I will try to make people happy, like I try to help, but I am probably not a people pleaser. I really like, unless of course it's business wise, right? Then I try to do that, but otherwise I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can't please everybody anyway, so that's
well,
why.
I don't know if it's so much of a people pleaser as if I guess maybe I'm a overachiever and their joy gives me some sort of satisfaction and recognition that I was able to do it. Like, I got this. I could do this. And maybe it's me, my own psychological need to be able to accomplish something that I can pat myself on the back and say, "Oh shit, look at me. I'm half crazy and I could still do this." You know,
Okay.
you know, and I think that's it. You know, when you came from a career background, you know, running a house and running a business, totally two different things. And you know, there's not that there's not enough satisfaction here, that you know, or fulfillment that of achievements and recognition that you get in, you know, in business. Um, but you know, I guess sometimes I do it because then I say I did it, you know, and they go, "Oh my God, Danielle, I can't believe you did it." And maybe that's where I get a little bit of my joy, because
Mm,
even though I've extended myself to the point that I'm exhausted and I can't even function, I did it, you know. And
hmm.
I don't know. You know, I sit back sometimes and I contemplate on that one, because I need some sort of recognition that I am still capable,
Mm,
and because I am no longer, you know, career oriented. Maybe.
okay. Yeah, I get well, I so Big Daddy says I'm drained. I'm up at 4:15 a.m. to make lunches and breakfast, then work, and I am overtime here, then go home and cook dinner and laundry. I got no help.
See?
So, I mean, look, everybody has a story. I just, and on top of that, my arm is in a sling waiting for surgery, and I do it every
Oh
day.
no, what happened to your arm?
Yeah. So, I think it's something with the shoulder. So, and this is my point, is that a lot of times people make assumptions, and and what do they say when you assume, right? And
Assume.
so,
Yes.
no one understands. And I'm going to be honest. I mean, like, people here know, Danielle is, one of my BFFs. And sometimes I might get in my feelings a little bit too, because I'm like, really, this bitch doesn't, like, hello, like, could you call me every once in a while? Could, whatever. And then I
I'm
know
terrible
that
at
she's
calling.
doing, no, I mean, yeah. And I mean, I know that, but it's not like, I know it's not because you don't want to. I know it's a matter of whoever you spoke to that day, it was probably because they caught you on the phone at that moment and you were able to talk. Like,
Right.
that's, you would think that you were like running, the country, as to how difficult it is, to talk to you. And then I'm on the phone with her and it's beeping 16 times. I go, Danielle, we're on the phone for 15 minutes. You had more people call you in 15 minutes than I have call me in a week. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just the type of, and that's why it's funny, because you always say, like, you don't have all these
Mm.
people, but you have all these people in your life. My phone, I told you, doesn't ring. I look at it and I think it's off. Yeah. And the only time it will go off is when I'm driving to pick up my son from school. And Noah will see all the things come up and I start laughing. I go, Noah, no one has called me or texted me all day long. And the minute I'm in the car with you, when I can't respond is when everybody's calling and texting me. And again, when I say everybody, it's like three people, maybe. So,
Right.
sometimes people, I personally try not to spread myself too thin, because I already know that I don't have that capacity. After, losing my husband and doing this all alone, I don't have the capacity to do it. And I have learned that you can't pour from an empty cup. So I am filling up my cup, and some days I have that water on and it's going all day long, because there is nothing in that cup. And no matter how many times I fill up the cup, it's empty. So, I don't commit to a lot of things. I stopped doing my show for a minute here and there
Yeah.
too, because I don't have it in me. And if I don't have it in me, I can't give it to you. And I have
Right.
learned not to do that. So
Right.
therefore, see, and that's the thing, is that sometimes, like, you may say, well, I don't have a choice. Well, I don't have
Right.
a
I was
choice
just gonna say.
either. But
Right. Well,
but
because
I
look.
but no, this is just a way we choose to live our lives. There is a choice, but some of the repercussions from our choices is that, we have to deal with what doesn't get done. But personally, for me, because I don't have a tribe, when I can't, and that's it. And I just don't. And I've just learned that because I don't have it in me. And, I'll say to my son, geez, I feel, he's like, Ma, you're always so busy. I'm like, no, I'm not that busy. And everybody, oh, but I always think you're so busy. I'm like,
I
I'm really not that busy.
but again, sometimes it's not a choice. Look, I have three kids who depends on me, and there's a lot going on here. Look at Big Daddy. He's got all this stuff going on. You wake up in the morning and can't roll over and go back to bed because it's not an option. It's
Right,
just not. You have no choice but to stand up, dust yourself off and say, okay, let's go, and put on your fake face and go out there and then, battle on,
right,
hoping that today will be better or tomorrow will be better, or he just said he's facing 4 months off of work, and I'm sure that is a scary situation because again, I don't know what his who's gonna take care. He just listed all the things he's got to do. Who the hell's gonna do that for 4 months while he's recovering? I had surgery back in July, and 2 days after my surgery, my family took off to Tampa. We had a death in the family. They took off to Tampa. There was nobody here to take care of me. You know, sometimes you don't have choices. You got to get up, and no matter how you're feeling, no matter you're recovering, no matter you get up and you do what you have to do, regardless. So yeah, you're thin, but you're strong. You're spread thin, but you're strong, and you're strong. And okay, well, should I be doing this? No, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but it needs to be done. Do I want to do this? No, I don't really want to do this. There are days I want to go run right back upstairs to my bed and just crawl back in it and say, you know what? Eat ramen. I don't care. I don't want to do this. I'm done
right.
parenting. I'm done. But I don't, right? Because they're my kids and I have to take care of them, and somebody needs to make sure. I'm trying to raise humans. I got to make sure their homework's done. I have to make sure all these things, and the responsibility falls on me because I'm the only one aware. Everybody else is like, kids don't care. They don't care. So, I have to make sure at the end of the day, because I will not always be here, that it's done and they'll be self-sufficient. Your son so super self-sufficient, and you're doing a wonderful job with him. Me, maybe not so much. I'm a little mothering. So, and I baby them a little too much. My fault, yes. But
Thank you.
definitely my fault. But, again, we go back to why, I didn't have, you go back to another story, another time, how you parent based on how you were raised, right? So that is definitely a different topic for another day. But,
Hmm.
I kind of overcompensate because I didn't have the best childhood, so I try to give my kids the childhood that I wanted. Am I making them better for it? Absolutely not. Am I making myself crazy for it? 1000%. You know, Again, monster of my own creation.
Well,
1000%.
I do think that speaking to your point is, it does have a lot to do with, so it's what's instilled in you. So like everything you've just spoken about is like the way you run your life is because you were brought up that way, and you were brought up to be tough, to be self-sufficient, and like buck up, like think about it, like when we were younger, right? Like you didn't stay home from school, right? If you didn't freaking feel good, you had to go to school, right? Oh, well, you got the sniffles, too bad, go to school. Like you weren't staying home unless, like, you were dying. Oh, and
Right.
even going to work,
Right. You
right?
ain't
when we
crying
well,
blood, right? If you're not crying
right.
blood, you're staying
Right.
home.
And so,
Right.
like if it, and so we were raised a different way. Like, if you like you don't feel good, I'm not going to go to work today. What? What? Are you dead? You're not dead. Go to work. Like, this is not, you don't have that option. This is not how and so it's a different, we live in a very different world now than we did then. And so, like, I know that, like, I'm hard on myself, which, you've obviously just said you're hard on yourself.
Mhm.
And so, and I'm hard on my kid. You're not hard on your kids the way that you were. I should, if I say this, you're not hard on the kids the way you were hard on. No, you know, so thank God. What was that? Suck your mother. He ain't on. They ain't on
Mhm.
here anymore. So because that might have come out bad. Um, so it is different. So I think, see me, I'm tougher. I think I'm super tough on my kid. And I feel bad sometimes because, like, I see it and I know he's looking at me like, with razor blades in his eyes, like, and he's like, and I feel really bad. But you know this world, no one is accountable anymore for anything. And so the reason why you are the way you are, Danielle, is because you were held accountable for things, and you had to be responsible, and you had to do X, Y, and Z because you had no choice, right? And so this is the way that's why you say, I mean, we do have a choice, right? You could go and crawl into your bed afterwards, and whatever happens happens, right? But you
Mhm.
choose not to do that.
No. Well, again, right. I had no I grew up very fast. I was 17 years old. I love my father, may he rest in peace. He put me out, right? I wanted to be grown up. I didn't want to listen. He said, "Oh, you want to be a big girl? Go be big." And he put me out. 17 years old, lived with my sister, paid rent, paid all my bills on my own. Um, and I used to look at my parents and I used to be like, but I'm only a child. I was a child, you know, didn't care.
Mhm.
It was a different time in life. I and it again breeds resentment, right? How could you do
Mhm.
that? I had all these friends, and their parents took care of them into college, into their 20s. Me, no, on the street. Well, not on the street, but living with my sister, paying rent, paying bills, just learning how to be a grown up at 17.
Yep.
Um, so I didn't want that life for these kids. I wanted them to have a childhood, and I wanted their parents to be. I wanted a stable environment. I wanted to do the things, and I wanted the dinner on the table at 5 o'clock. But with all those wants, they're held down by it's an obligation, it's a responsibility. So yes, you have a picture in your mind of all the things that you want, but sometimes life says, "Oh well, I want you to do this and you need to do this." And then you're like, but I still have to do this, and this. And that's how you start to see yourself spread out, because you're still fighting with the obligations that you made, the promises and the things that you want. And life is pulling you to the left and you're trying to pull yourself to the right. And before you know it, you got no time and you're doing everything and you're tired,
Mhm.
but I go to bed at night and I'm exhausted. But I still hold true to the certain things. I get up in the morning, I make them their breakfast, I pack their lunches, I take them up for school, they have dinner on the table every night. You know, those are the things I try not, at least not to get away from. You know, am I cranky about it? 1000%, 1000%. But it is what it is. And it's not going
Big
to change.
Big
What is
Daddy, Big Daddy's coming to move in.
he's going to move it? I got you. I got you.
Big Daddy's
And
coming to move in.
and
Yeah. Well, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, but it's oh my God, I lost my train of thought. But
That's okay.
no, it's unfortunate, but it's a world we live in. There's always one parent that takes on more of the responsibility than the other. Big Daddy's not the only person. I have another friend who he fulfills the role of everything, and his wife is very hands off. I go, oh my God, why didn't I get one of those? So, but but it's not fair. It's not fair. There should be a balance somewhere. Eventually I'll be an empty nester and I'll have all the time I want. And then at that point, then I won't be spread so thin. So, I got 7 years, and I think, you think about it that way. I had 7 years, these kids are off to college, and, okay.
Well, I mean, I think that the important thing that, like I said, I like to leave people with thoughts of this, right? And so my point is that, I say this all the time, like be kind because you never know what someone else is going through. So a lot of times we are very, we will be judgmental, we'll be dismissive, we'll get in our feelings, and the list goes on, right? And a lot of times, um, we are just spreading ourselves too thin, and sometimes people just don't have it to give. So, like, that's about like accepting people for who and what they are. And, like, I know that with certain people, I know what I'm getting and I know what I'm not getting. And unfortunately, we always hope we're going to get what we want, but you probably won't because people don't really change. You just adapt. So, I'm just saying that I know we were discussing something the other day, and it was like, I think, that there was someone, you were trying to do something for somebody, and then life happened and you weren't able to give it the attention that it needed.
Yes.
And you think that might have been taken wrong. And and this is my whole thing, is that don't get me wrong, there are people that will disappoint you over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, when somebody doesn't do it, like my father would say, you vote with your feet. This person keeps doing the same thing over and over again, you gotta keep it moving. But when someone doesn't do that to you over and over again, and it's just life happens, I think, there has to be some forgiveness there. And again, that's the difference between being 50 something and being 20 something, right? At 20 something, I would tell you, you know what, fuck you, I don't need you. And
Right.
I would be done with it. And I would be like, you know what, I don't need that person in my life. And that's, you were mentioning that, earlier, like about like what happened. And when I was younger, I could do X, Y, and Z. And now here I am. And, what's going on here? I think that when we were younger, we don't tolerate as much because we don't have to. And then as we get older and maybe wiser, and maybe we gain some compassion, maybe we are more understanding, now we tolerate things that younger us would have never tolerated. I'm still on the fence whether that's good or bad. Um, so all I'm saying is that I do think that you do have to give people the benefit of the doubt
You
sometimes.
you also get a bigger picture of what's going on, and as adults, we tend to understand, like you said, life is gets in the way, right? As kids, we're 25, we're invincible. Nothing gets in the way. Whatever, we can do it all. And you also learn how to, I hate to say categorize, but you might have a friend, you ask something of them once, they didn't, okay, twice, and then you realize that's not that type of friend. That's
Right.
not the
Vote
person that
with your
I'm going to
feet.
go to. Vote with your feet, right? There
Exactly.
you go.
Right.
So I love them, but I understand where
Right.
their limitations are. So, okay, you stay over there on that side, in that box, and
Right.
you learn who you can
Right.
lean on and who you can't, and who's just there for the good time, or the quick conversation once every 6 months, like, hey, how you doing? Let's catch up, blah blah blah. I love you too. I'll talk to you soon. You don't talk to them for 6 months.
But bye.
Right. And it's fine. And it's fine. Everybody needs all different kinds of people in their lives. Somebody satisfies something in your life at the
We
moment.
can only
Right.
hope.
We can only hope, right? But yes. So, it's like I said, when you're younger, you don't have that. You're like, oh, you know what? She showed her true colors, or he showed his true colors. I'm out. I'm not dealing with that person anymore. And
Yeah.
and you
And
walk
then we
away.
get older and we're colorblind. What the
And we're
frig?
colorblind. Yes. How come I didn't see that one coming? Like, I must be slow on the uptake these days,
No, but you know what? We did see it coming, but we just tolerated it we tolerate it because you get it, like, and so I know I say it all the time. I want to go back to not tolerating, because that probably, I don't know that it ends better, but I don't want to be that person. So I think the best way to avoid though being that person is to just remove those type of people from your life,
Well,
because
you you
if
you,
I
you
gotta
talk
be a bitch, then I don't need you in my life, because I want people that make me want to feel warm and fuzzy, not like, a bitch.
right, but you also tolerate people because you understand they don't have real malicious intent. Like some people just
That's true.
don't have it. They just don't have it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of friends. I have a lot of acquaintances. We talk about this, but there's certain people in my life. Some people be like, "Oh my God, how did you forgive her?" I because she didn't do it maliciously. Like
Right.
because I understand the person has true love for me, but they didn't do something obviously that I had expectations for. But she did
Right.
not do it maliciously. Um, okay, you know, and where at one time I'd been like, I can't even believe you did this to me. I'm out.
Right. Well, we live and we learn, right?
Right,
I mean, and
because you said to me, right? I don't call. I'm a terrible, terrible person. I don't call. I get so caught up in my day and my life. I am not a phone caller. Like I'm not like I won't call you like 100 times a day. Like, hey girl, what are you doing? That's not me. But I love you. I love the shit out of you. I got you. But and I don't do it maliciously. I don't. I
right.
think about you constantly. But when I get there, and if I do have a minute, like I said, I call you when you're driving. Can't talk. So but that's just who I am, and people have
Right.
learned to understand me, and they stick by me. They okay, Danielle, she's cool. She's got a good personality, whatever. She's a good friend. She just she will not call you. I will not call.
Well,
I'm
you
not
know what?
interested.
And again, like segueing out of all of this, right? So Danielle's birthday is right around the corner. And
Happy holidays.
so we're having a Scorpio birthday bash on November 11th, 11/11. The angels will be with us, and
Yes.
we're gonna do it at our friend Ian and Tommy's place, Fire and Oak in Croton. And it's a really cool spot. And the funny thing is that Danielle's like, I don't know if anybody's gonna come. I'm like, Danielle, you have a million friends and everybody loves you. And she's like, no, I don't. Danielle's like, I don't think anybody likes me that much. And I'm like, yes, they do, because whenever you come into New York, everybody's like, "Oh my God, how come I didn't know you were here?" And meanwhile, like she'll come in and we'll be like 10 strong going someplace. So, it's a funny thing, and I guess perception has a lot to do with it. And so, like when Danielle comes into New York, it's like, we usually try to like we try to do whatever. If she's here for 3 days, we're out for 3 days, and she does 13 things during the day. Like, so she's like up at the crack of dawn to meet this one for breakfast, then she goes and meets this one for lunch, then she's out with us, and I go, how, I don't even know how you're still standing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but Big Daddy, I don't think you can come because it's the 11th
No,
and you're
my
having
bad.
surgery on the 9th. But yeah, I mean, it would be awesome if you could.
Yes.
um but like, so, this would be, listen, I get her in here every now and again. She does visit often, but this is why we try to maximize the good times. So, I hope that anybody listening will come and celebrate with us on November 11th. Obviously, no stalkers wanted.
Super.
We're not, no, I mean, sometimes, and men, don't take this the wrong way, I love each and every one of you, but like, I don't know what people think sometimes, that this isn't like like a sex party. This is let's have fun party. And fun meaning dancing and drinking and everything else. So, just for anybody that, is a little demented, I want to be clear. Um, but we definitely, we're all about support. Our friends own the place. They're great guys. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna dance. and we're gonna have a good time. So now, Danielle,
Yeah,
next Tuesday is Halloween, the
I,
31st. So our
I
next
know.
show. So I was thinking, and we can run with this, and I'll leave everybody with this, right? I think the topic should be, do you like to dress up? And we'll do a dot, dot, dot on the end of that one.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Yes, Miss Spread. Don't want to spread yourself too thin, which went right over my head, but okay.
We're
I'm
gonna
thinking,
we're,
go ahead.
this is gonna totally go into role play, but okay, let's go.
You know what? You never know what might come out of our mouths. So they're going to have to tune in next week to find out what that means, right? Do you dress up, or do you like to dress up? Yeah, I think it's a good topic. What do you think?
I think that it can go in a lot of different directions. Yes.
Like most things in life, I love that. I love the double entendres. I know what could go in your mouth. Really nice, Big Daddy. Not nice. Bad boy.
He's fresh.
He's frisky, this one. He's frisky. um if you just, who else is here? Start hitting the heart buttons. Let me know that you're here. And listen, thank you guys for tuning in. I think this is our third show of
Yes.
WTF, Let's Talk with Danielle and Karen. And Danielle has jumped right into the co-host slot like a pro.
Mm.
So a big round of applause for Danielle for doing that. Let's see if we can get. Let's see. There we go.
Oh,
Big round of
look
applause
at
for
that.
Danielle. See
I
that?
like it. I like it.
Yes, she is a professional, absolutely. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for sharing this. And listen, that's the greatest thing that you could do if you support our show, is you can share it out to your friends and invite them. And also you can come and celebrate with us at our next event, which is going to be 11/11 at 8 p.m. at Fire and Oak on in Croton. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week we will be Halloweening it, and we are going to discuss if you like to dress up. So thank you guys for joining us. Danielle, any final words that you want to address
I
to our topic here?
ah, no, not really. I think I've said that as much as I could possibly say on the subject. Just, be kind to yourself. Um, Understand that we are the makers. We are the makers of our own monster. If you feel a little too thin, try to reevaluate. Maybe try to figure out where you can pull back to give yourself a little break and a breather. We all need it, and no matter how hard it gets, don't be too hard on yourself because you're doing amazing. We don't
Maybe.
always we no, you're doing amazing. Listen,
Maybe.
if you have put yourself in a position where you are overextending, you are doing amazing. Not everybody gives us a pat on the back, but you deserve it. So just, but sit down, take a minute. You get to enjoy a peaceful moment because tomorrow's another day and you never know what it brings.
Well, and I always say tomorrow isn't promised. Don't be an asshole today. So, be kind, be humble, be kind, and remember that you never know what someone else is going through.
Correct.
So, to, speaking to our topic, do you spread yourself too thin? Be mindful if you are spreading yourself too thin. And also, if you're on the opposite end of that, be mindful if the person that you're dealing with was spreading themselves too thin as well. So, be humble, be kind, and yes, give yourself grace. Absolutely. So, thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Karen. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.